I know that you have questions, but right now I would like to cover the dimensions that, so to speak, we traditionally touch upon in our briefings. First of all, I would like to talk about the attempts by the Kiev regime to suspend restrictions on striking deep into the Russian territory. As you know, the Kiev regime and its Western handlers continue to go crazy, trying to chase after exacting on us, as they have formulated, an infamous strategic defeat against a continuously worsening situation for the Ukrainian army at the front line. The Kiev regime is currently after promoting finally new formula of a plan. They have conscience enough to describe it as a plan of victory. If I were them, I would word it closer to reality, because this is a new disaster plan for them. They continue begging the West in order to suspend restrictions on striking our country with long-range weaponry. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine, who met is the diplomat on the topic of the cooperation. The representatives of the diplomatic organizations held a discussion about the peculiarities of the national HR training for then being hired into the foreign affairs authorities. Also, the members of the dialogue hold meetings with the heads of the Far Eastern regions, Sakhalin, Kamchatka, and naturally the city of Vladivostok. The agenda, or rather, the agenda includes also exchanging the excellence practices in terms of raising the youth in for the social, educational, and cultural projects. And we already see the way the West is directly involved in the conflict in Ukraine, because the collective West is actually the main instigator of the military aggression by the Kiev regime, and more brazenly demonstrate its direct involvement as an interested party in it. Whereas some time ago we heard various assurances that their main purpose exceptionally is the support of the Kiev regime on the path towards democracy, and they support the Kiev regime exclusively in helping them to fight for their own independence and to ensure their own security. So currently the Western cause in their announcement has become so open that they demonstrate that they themselves have become a direct threat. The NATO General Secretary, Stoltenberg, speaking to the German media, which took place on August 31st, completely supported the Zelensky Kiev brazen venture campaign into Kursk, supporting the so-called Ukrainian president's statement, because that's the only way we can describe him. So he solidarized with the Ukrainian president's argument in creating in the Russian border area a certain buffer zone.
I don't quite understand what they mean by buffer zone. Probably the graveyard for the Ukrainians who will be killed in battle. But I can see brazen cynicism of citizens. Perhaps this is what they mean by the so-called buffer zone. The buffer zone which will be covered with the bodies of dead Ukrainians. What is this buffer zone they are talking about in the border districts? What are they talking about? You have to talk about it openly, and you have to follow the logic of this discussion. And so should Stoltenberg and the others. They should openly tell Ukrainians, the citizens of Ukraine, whom they actually have thrown into battle. Let them explain what they mean by this so-called buffer zone. By the way, there is a illicit ground that has been created for the right of the so-called self-defense, which doesn't end at the border of the Ukraine. What about the right of Donbas Donbass and other Russian regions which are under strike of the Nazi Ukrainian regime. The rules do not apply to these regions. What's wrong with them? Is there something wrong with their knowledge of geography or their approach to the system? At the informal meeting of the EU ministers previously attended by Kulebov and attended by Kulebov this time, I cannot say what it was about, but in Brussels, Borrell mentioned that, and I would like to quote him. He talked about the strategic achievements of the Ukrainian regime, which were demonstrated in the attacks on Kursk. Well, these are the quotations from the Third Reich as it is. Take it or leave it. This is the way they were thanked for their attacks on the countries of the world. So this was what was quoted by the representatives of the Western countries and NATO countries when they were talking about the coups in different countries such as Afghanistan, which they left, by the way. So he also was mentioning the attacks on Russia and the central parts of Russia. Well, I must say that in accordance with the soon-to-leave guard of the so-called Garden of Eden, Borrell, he says that Europe should employ the armament to its full capacity in Russia and the Ukrainian war. Well, I'm not even mentioning about Blinken and others who motivated the Ukrainian regime, saying that they were fully answering the demands for the so-called beautiful future of the Ukraine. So where are the people now? Why are they calling people to rise? Why aren't they talking about the rights of the Ukrainian citizens? They're only talking about the so-called Western narrative. The Western narrative which poses its aim as a strategic attack on Russia. No other ideas. The crazy idea about terrorist attacks on Russia were supported by this rampage and orgy of ministers from Western countries and the Baltic states. They are trying to gain score before the Western countries to simply gain means and finance which is channeled to them by foreign countries and Western countries. You see, it has to be drawn to attention that they are losing ground, they are losing touch with reality, and the fact that the escalation of this conflict is becoming dangerous to themselves, not only Ukrainian citizens whom they have already discarded, but let them think about themselves at least. Well, we have to draw the line, and in case of such aggressive regime steps, Kiev regime steps, there will be a concrete and direct response from Russia. Now, as to the crimes of the Ukrainian regime, which is continuing to attack the peaceful population of Russia, and these are acts of terrorism, extremism. On the 28th of August in Zaporozhye Oblast, a drone was fired and a child died. 4 people were wounded. On the 20th of August, 25 drones attacked a hospital. On the 29th of August, one soldier of the Russian army talked about the shelling and fighting against 12 children in the Kursk district. They were fired at in the back. Do you remember how the Western countries were laughing about the liberal ideas of the boy who was killed?
Introducing Tata Coffee Gold. 100% coffee roasted to perfection for a rich taste and heavenly aroma. Tata Coffee Gold, crafted for those whose love for coffee is extraordinary.
Sleep Well Pro Nexa. Ooh, easy body movement.
True. How many children have already been killed and wounded? Little boys and little girls. Mercifully crucified. They were simply crucified. So those who were laughing before, don't they want to pay attention to that and see what it has all come to? The facts, tragedy that is unfolding before our eyes is the value of this pseudo-humanist demagogy and their attempts to provide for the development of the so-called democracy. Children are dying, but nobody cares about children in these Western countries. They are worried about the abstract children who were, as they claim, were stolen from Ukraine. Some abstract children who need to receive help. Whose rights have to be protected. They have to receive humanitarian aid. As to the real live children who were crucified, they have been completely forgotten about. So, you know, this is like a fairy tale of Andersen. You remember the story about the nightingale, where the princess discarded the real roses and the real nightingale by saying, well, they are real and I don't need them. This is very much like the position of the Western countries who disregard the dramatic and the tragic stories connected with children. This is what the West is saying. They're saying we don't care about the real facts. This is what is unfolding before our eyes. And there is information in mass media from the Banderites, who have been killing peaceful population. Approximately 10 people were killed who wanted to leave Sudzhansky region and Sudzha. A pregnant woman was killed when she tried to made a futile attempt to evacuate the city. So has anyone changed their avatar? Has anyone given the world to know the photographs about the people who were murdered in cold blood? Maybe somebody lit a candle in the memory of those who perished. Maybe, or could somebody have given a specific color to some building or a picture of people who have suffered, really suffered. No, this has not been done. More and more Ukrainian prisoners representing the Ukrainian army point out that such horrific actions were carried out under the direction of the Ukrainian army, that this is a part of the program. Well, nobody doubts that. This was pointed out by Poroshenko in the olden days when he said that people with their violated and destructed future. This was the picture he was drawing if you do not try to retain your identity, you will lose your identity. Well, actually, this was what Zelensky pointed out after after he became president, when he was standing on his knees and asking for forgiveness before the people who had been murdered under the Hitler regime, known that he would change things around. 5 people died from the drones produced by the Czech company Vampire. A lot of the blocks of flats were destructed. The Russian politicians turned to the UN secretary in order to condemn these acts of violence. They will be persecuted in the end. The blood of Russian people will be on the consciousness of the foreign Western regimes. And all this goes to prove that pumping the banderites with arms should stop immediately. On 15 regions of Russia were attacked, and the anti-aircraft missile defense systems have been able to cross out these attacks on Russia. Thankfully, there were no victims thanks to the efforts made by the Russian army. And now the most important point. Why are we now discussing these topics? Why are we talking about the 1st and the 2nd of December? Well, the 1st and the 2nd of December are the days that mark the beginning of the new school year. Children who go to school are becoming the victims of the Kiev regime, and this is an act of terrorism. It was mentioned in the North Caucasus that we are now dealing with the so-called fighters for democracy. They, in their time, attacked the schools in Beslan, and the theater in Dubrovka. You know, they didn't simply choose Dubrovka for some random reason. There was a particular reason for choosing this theater, because it was attended by families with children. On the 3rd of September, a church was attacked in Belgorod. Drones dropped explosives on the church, and parishioners and the clergy were wounded. A lot of people died. So I'd like to once again repeat that this is on the conscience of the Western regimes, and they will be persecuted and prosecuted. And Now, let's go back to what we talk about continually. The Ukrainian Nazi who have been brought up on the previous history and a story of the Hitler Nazi. And the Lvov operation, the Red Army, has become the focal point of this regime. Well, a lot of people don't know the real history, but the 80th anniversary, which was or supposed to be marked on the 29th of August, when the same Banderites, the representatives of the Ukrainian army, were getting ready to attack the nursery schools of the same particular region, the region where 80 years ago, grandfathers of the current school children risked their lives for the future generations. And the population of Lvov at the time of the fascist army were meeting Russian soldiers with tears of happiness and gratitude in their eyes. And by the way, they were freed not only from Hitler, not only from fascists, but even from the collaborationists of Ukrainians on the side of fascists who were very brutal. Currently in Kursk, we see practically the same attitude of the Ukrainian Nazi towards the population of these regions, towards the peaceful population. On the 1st of September, 80 years was marked from the beginning of the Second World War. This is another reason to remember the fact that one needs to take into account, one needs to learn the lessons of history, the lessons of the Second World War. Now, crime is always followed by punishment. Now, let's talk about punishment. On the 28th of August, by the decision of the Lefortovo court of Moscow, the Venezuelan, Colombian guerrillas, mercenaries were taken into custody. They were prosecuted, they were investigated, and under investigation, it was proven that they were